CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success. In this episode, recorded from the Streamline Asset Management User Conference, we're going to meet Barbara Ferrer. She is with Hexagon EAM. She's the director of pre-sales. We're going to pick up right where she was talking about what it's like to help clients.
A lot of customers don't know what they don't know. So they have trouble saying, this is what I want, or I have a question about this, because they're really not aware. They just know something's wrong. So I think it's a matter of digging deep. And we always start with, like, what's the background? What are you using now? How are you using it? And then just keep digging until we get to what they might be looking for.
So do you find that as you go through that, they know their problem, but the main thing they struggle with is, how do we really solve it? We've heard all these things,
right?
And it's because of confusion, because there's a lot of white noise out there.
There's a lot of white noise, but it's also, when you're busy doing something and you're working on something every single day, you kind of get lost in the details. You go down this rabbit hole, and I think it always helps to have like a fresh perspective. So someone to take you out of that hole, take a look at this picture and say, okay, well, what is it really do I need? So me and my team, we try to make sure that we're giving them the space to do that and have that kind of conversation.
So this is interesting, because a lot of the time when I'm looking at, EAM or CMMS, these types of technology situations where an organization has to find something, they know they need it, they need to understand a little bit more about what they really need.
Right.
That disrupts what they're already doing.
Exactly.
Kind of like what you were saying. And I talk a lot about this concept of, we got to find a way to slow down so that we can speed up. But that's a huge ask.
It's huge.
We talk about it,
that's
and
right.
We're like, just do it. And it's like, are you kidding me? I've got 10,000 things to do.
Right.
And do the different clients, come to you and kind of talk to you about that being the real barrier for them to kind of really get into this?
Yeah, I don't think we ever really talk about their specific barriers, because my interest is to get them out and looking at the problem objectively and saying, okay, this is not only what we can do in the system, but this is what we can support in the system, because it's not about just taking the action, right? But it's also supporting that action and making sure that it's getting done. So it's not enough for me to just show them, hey, this is what's possible. I like to also give the context of, how do you keep it going?
Yeah.
And then how do you continue to grow on that? That way, Hexagon as a whole, we like to make partners with our customers. They are customers, but to us, they're also partners that we want to continue to grow with, innovate with, learn from each other, and make sure that the product stands the test of time with them. So it's not enough to just, hey, this is the function that'll help you now. Let's see where you're going, and let's make sure we're supporting you as you try to get there.
So do you have kind of multi-departmental involvement, if that's even if there's such a thing?
It is
where you're taking this in, you're conveying it to your counterparts at the different departments. Absolutely. And then this constant collaboration.
Yes.
What does that look like?
We EAM. Someone referred to it in a keynote this morning about the data stream mafia. Well, I think there's the data stream mafia, of course, but it started foundationally. It grew into EAM users just having this certain culture. I think a lot of EAM users, people that work with EAM, have a similar personality, so it makes a lot of these conversations really easy. Everyone's pretty outgoing. And so even internally, for everyone that supports EAM, we're all passionate about it. We want to make it work for the customer. Not only do we believe in the product, but we believe in its growth and its innovation. So I'll hear something that maybe doesn't work, and we're talking about this use case, and it's a use case we never discovered. Well, as a pre-sales, we work very closely with product owners in development, and we try to meet twice a year to go over new enhancements. Well, in that meeting, now we're going to start talking about what are some of the ideas, what are you hearing in the field? We've started talking to the partners. So the major releases, we're going to bring them in so we can hear, what do you think? What are you hearing from the field, right? Because we're not always getting all the customer information. And so we just continue to collaborate that way. And then when we go to these conferences and we're supporting these conferences for specific industries, we like to take the use cases that we've heard are very popular and make sure we're showing videos that relate to those use cases, and we are ready to support conversations that matter for that industry. And that way we start at a baseline, and what we're hearing is above that, over and top of that, we also have this to consider. We bring that back, and it's just a full cycle of talking about how we can be better.
Yeah, and those are all, having been on kind of both sides, and a lot of us kind of start to adopt these perspectives, no matter where you were or here now. When a company grows and grows and grows, which that's what they intend to do most typically, right? There's certain scenarios where maybe there's a really tight, small client list, and they're very, very connected, and they kind of go somewhere together. But in this case, bigger and bigger company, when you get all this different feedback, you will sometimes hear the ones that weren't as popular that do have an absolute need,
right?
And those didn't, say, for example, make it into new product development,
right?
And it's not that you don't want to, but you have to make choices, because to develop a new product that's going to go into EAM, right? Something that, for example, there's one that's gaining a ton of momentum right now, like APM, and we don't have to talk about it, but the point is, when you see the market signals, but you get the feedback from your clients, that's how you kind of were referencing that, because I remember that we used to do that back in the day with the solution I was a part of,
right?
And we were trying to figure out, rather than what's going to make us the most money,
that's right,
we wanted to find out what was going to
have the most impact.
Most impact across the entire solution for our client base. And then the exceptions we would make is if a client said, look, we want it no matter what.
Right.
And we'll pay for it.
Right.
We would then say, all right, that might make sense. Let's scope it out first. But you get to participate in all of this. I don't. Oh, you don't?
No, yeah. Our product owner team, they're the ones that do that. We surface it up, and if they have to have follow-up conversations with the customer, that's what they do. And they're the ones that are really taking into account what impact that has on the product, not only from a development sense, but also, how in our vision, in our roadmap of where we're going to take this product, does it fit? And you're right.
So you convey it, and then they might come back to you and say, hey, we need a little more clarification. You might say, hey, I'm going to bring these 3 clients in. Let's talk about it again, make sure we've got it right.
Yeah.
This is great. And I know you're running from like session and meeting to another session and then meeting, so that's cool. One last thing. You've got Hexagon has a really big event coming up in June, and I think this is where a lot of that kind of learning can start to happen, because I think it's called Hexagon Live.
It sure is, Hexagon Live in Las Vegas.
And that's a convergence of your client base that can do all these different breakouts, do user training. I'm sure there's going to be some cool like keynotes and entertainment stuff too, because you make it about the clients. So I just wanted to get that in on this,
appreciate that,
so that people know about it. And well, Barb, thank you for being here with me on CMMS Radio. I want to thank Hexagon for being a sponsor of this event, along with all of your other sponsors. This particular episode, we're doing it in concert with Reliability X. These are some close friends of mine that wanted to help get this nice studio set up for me. And I also want to shout out Digital Thinker and Alex Bolin and the team for putting it all together. And we'll see you later tonight at the Mixer.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
You got it.
Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS, from selection to implementation, to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.